Hi guys, so today I'm reporting out to you on everything that I purchased in the month of September. We're going to be kind of going day by day in terms of what I purchased and then totaling that up into my beauty budget. If you are new to this series, I have a budget that I set at the beginning of every month. If you are new to this series, earlier this year I did kind of give myself a beauty budget, allowing myself to roll over money I didn't spend for the prior month, as well as kind of setting aside some money out of my personal finances and then some of the money that I make on this channel for beauty purchases. And then I've been tracking against those, looking at different categories of spending and making sure that I'm not going completely crazy in a particular month buying, $1,000 worth of makeup. It's never really been my MO. For me personally, this beauty budget was less about drastically cutting spending and more about being aware of how I'm spending my money and making sure that the purchases I'm making are reflective of the types of makeup and the things that I really want to own, as opposed to just buying willy-nilly. And I feel like even though I'm still purchasing a decent amount of makeup, what I'm seeing through this whole process is that I'm being a little more critical of what I am purchasing. And that's just an interesting take. To be honest, I think at the end of this year, I'm probably going to want to do like a recap of like a year's worth of budgeting and just kind of give you guys my thoughts on what it's been like for me, both in terms of what my goals were at the outset, as well as just kind of what I've learned. But that is not why you guys have tuned in today. Today's video is all about me reporting what I actually purchased this last month and then giving you guys a roll up of kind of what did that mean in total. So before we get into this, I did want to say that this month was interesting for me because typically I've spent my money kind of slowly and evenly throughout the entire month. And for me, I actually made a huge amount of my purchases in the first 2 weeks of the month. In fact, by the 24th of the month, I was pretty much done. I was almost out of money completely, and so as a result, it was a different experience towards the end of this month. I was really on a no buy, not necessarily, because I still had a small amount of money left, but I never want to go down to zero because I'm also pulling things in here like skincare and shampoos and things like that. And so for me, I could tell I was running low on shampoo. I could feel like some of the beauty products that are in sealed containers might be running light. And so I never want to get to a point where I have absolutely no money left in my budget and half the month left, because then I'm at risk of not having an eye cream that I really want or being completely out of shampoo, things like that. So for me, I had spent the bulk of my budget early on in this month, and so it was an interesting experience, I guess is what I would say, really having the back half of this month where I wasn't purchasing a ton. But let's go ahead and go into what I purchased. So the first thing I purchased at the beginning of this month was actually a moisturizer from Trader Joe's. If you guys recall, in my video last month, I was talking to you about the sagas of trying to find a Belif Aqua Bomb style gel moisturizer for use in the daytime. I'm not looking for something with like oodles of like really expensive anti-aging ingredients in that gel moisturizer. I'm using a lot of my anti-aging ingredients in other forms during the day, and then in even heavier doses in my night creams and products. So for a day, I'm really just looking at something that is lightweight, that moisturizes my skin really well and lays well underneath makeup, that doesn't have any sort of weird issues as I'm putting makeup on top of it. And for me, that was the Belif Aqua Bomb for years and years and years. Unfortunately, they went into China, and so according to how I'm looking at cruelty-free, I'm no longer purchasing from them. But in the process of me researching a whole bunch of things and trying a whole bunch of things and actually having to return a few things that just didn't work for me, I stumbled upon some chatter online around the Trader Joe's Ultra Hydrating Gel Moisturizer. This says it's with aloe and green tea extract. I liked its ingredients panel. So it's water, glycerin, something called a saccharide isomerate, and then it gets into some really nice ingredients like squalane and aloe leaf juice. It's also got some lactobacillus ferment in here. Interesting. Huh, so there's a probiotic in here. I bet it's dead. Anyway, all that to say, I really, really liked this thing. So on 9/2, very beginning of the month, I went in Trader Joe's and bought this. It cost me $9.66 for this container. It's 2.5 fluid ounces, so an incredible value for money. Now, I will tell you, this is running around as a rumor, as a dupe for a very expensive La Mer moisturizer. Of course, I've never tried it. I'm not going to pay that much money for a moisturizer, but I was reading that this was supposed to be a dupe for it. And then I read a subsequent article that said that the buyer was trying to dupe a much cheaper product. She was duping something that was like at the $55 mark. And so I think what they're trying to dupe, and what that article said they were trying to dupe, is actually the gel moisturizer from Clinique is kind of the suspicion, but it doesn't have any color in it. It's just sort of a light clear, lightweight gel moisturizer. It's really watery feeling on the skin in a really lovely way. It blends in super easily. It sinks right into my skin. I will say I don't think it's quite as hydrating as the Aqua Bomb, but it's enough for me. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Large part because I'm putting lots of layers on. If this was my only moisturizer, if I was just getting up in the morning, washing my face and putting a moisturizer on, and that's all I was doing, this would not be enough for my normal skin. I would need something far more rich, but I have, as I've talked about, many layers that I'm putting on, and I feel like I'm just going to have to film. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. I do think I'm just going to end up having to film a skincare routine for you guys, even though I don't have like a perfect product and a category that I can recommend. Right now, I feel like I've narrowed in on a pretty solid skincare routine that is cruelty-free that I've been using for several months now. Like I needed to find cruelty-free options. I needed to put them to the test. Some of them I immediately decided I didn't like after a couple months of use. Some of them I've kind of had to readjust, and I really wanted to hone this cruelty-free sort of AM and PM skincare routine before I came on here and filmed for you guys. The only thing that I have not honed yet is a second cleanser. So I've got a great first cleanse to get off makeup, but my second cleanser, I'm still using a product I got in Korea that came in this giant tube, and I only need a tiny pea-sized amount to get that sort of second cleanse, and I like it. And so I have no desire to just throw that away in favor of finding a cruelty-free option, and I feel like it's going to last me well into next year. So I will probably have to come back at some point and find a second cleanse to talk to you guys about, but I do feel like I can't wait until sometime next year. A lot of you guys are asking about my skincare routine. I got a lot of questions after my Empties videos about what I'm doing AM and PM, and I really do feel like the core products are exactly where I want them to be at this point, including this. So I do think I'm going to go ahead and probably put that on the filming schedule for the month of October, and probably talk you guys through my AM and PM skincare routine, why I've picked these products, what I think they do for me, what are the ingredients in there that I have selected specifically for anti-aging and just making my skin as healthy as it can be. This Trader Joe's moisturizer is freaking fantastic. It has a very light, it smells like something I can't quite put my finger on. Like, it has a light herbal scent, but I can't quite, it might be the aloe, honestly. Aloe and green tea. Maybe it's the green tea. Maybe this smells like green tea to me. I don't know. It has a slight herbal scent. Very subtle though. Doesn't bother me in the least. And once I put it on my skin, I'm not even smelling it. I really only smell when I'm like dipping my fingers in there and putting it on my face. You know, do I wish this wasn't in a pot? It was in sort of a squeeze pump. Sure. There's also no ingredients in here that I'm worrying about, like vitamin C or peptides that are going to like fall apart with air and sort of your fingers touching it over time. So all that to say, for not less than $10, this is definitely going to be my new go-to daily face moisturizer. And I've talked about one product to we're at the 10-minute mark. Time to speed it up. Okay, on 9/2, I also placed an order on Paula's Choice for some products that I had run out of or were about to run out of. One is a product that I have repurchased a zillion and a half times. It is their 2% BHA liquid exfoliant. So BHA is salicylic acid. It is the acid that goes deeper into your skin to kind of exfoliate from the inside out. It is fantastic at shrinking pores and getting rid of any sort of blackheads, as well as exfoliating your skin the way that chemical exfoliants can. I love this. This was a life-changing product for me when I started using it probably 2 years ago. I have just actually ordered a bottle for my stepdaughter who she really has good skin. She gets a little bit of redness and little tiny bumps on her skin. She really has not dealt with bad acne, but she would really like to get rid of the little teeny bumps that annoy her. And so I just ordered her a bottle of this. So I'm super curious to see if this does for her skin what it has done for mine over the years. So placed a new order for this. This was $25.37 after taxes. It was 20% off. So after that discount plus taxes. And then the other thing that I had purchased on Paula's Choice was another thing of their Weightless body treatment, 2% BHA. So this has salicylic acid in it as well, and I really do like this for starting to clear up some of the KP on my arms, some of the sort of red bumps that I can get on, especially on my upper arms here. If I use this day and night, I really see a huge difference. So I was running out of that, and so I picked this up. This after taxes and also with 20% off was $24.08. It has 7 fluid ounces in here, so I think you're getting a good amount. They've gone through a rebranding with their products, and I really think the new style of packaging is really pretty. And then because I wanted to hit that free shipping and I was only a few dollars away, I went ahead and got 4 little packets of this same Weightless body stuff. So these little packets were $1 a piece. So I think after taxes, I paid $4.80 for 4 of these. So not the best value for money. You're getting only 0.14 fluid ounces in here. However, I travel a lot, and one of the things I notice is that, especially when I'm traveling for 3 or 4 days, and then I'll be home, and then I'll be gone for 2 or 3 days, I'm not usually taking this giant bottle with me, and I probably should get some sort of container that I could decant some of this into. But because I was only a few dollars away from free shipping, and free shipping was shipping I think was like $5.90 or $5.99 or something like this. I just made the decision, as opposed to paying $5.99 for shipping, to pay $4, get something for that money, and then that would get me to free shipping. And then these little packets would be great for me to toss in a travel bag or an overnight bag when I'm not checking luggage. So that's kind of what I was thinking with those. Probably not the best value for money, but in my mind, it was like I could either pay them $5 or $6 for shipping, or I could pay $4 more and at least have something to show for it. So that is what I did. And then on 9/3, one of the few products that I picked up in the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale was actually the Becca Hydra-Mist powder. I was really curious about this, and when it launched, and I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. It was one of those ones where everyone was kind of talking about it because it feels wet on your skin. Like, it's a very strange sensation. The powder itself is not wet, but when you dip your brush in there and you put it on your face, it feels like your brush is wet, like you're putting something wet on your face. Super strange, super cooling. It's just a bizarre product, and I kind of was interested in when it came out, but I had other loose powders and I didn't want to pay, I thought, a kind of an expensive price for this powder, to be honest. But then I was talking to one of my good friends, Jamie, who really likes this powder quite a bit, and she's continued to use it and was kind of raving about it when we were in Vegas together. And so when I saw it pop up for 50% off during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale, I was like, okay, that's going to be one of the things I purchased. So on 9/3, I bought this at half off and paid $20.96 for this powder. I do like this. I think it's smoothing. It does all the things I said. It feels slightly wet and bizarre as you put it on. I don't feel like it's super drying under my eyes. I do think it is slightly pore smoothing. I think it's got some blurring effects to it. I can't quite figure out, I stared at the ingredient list in this forever. I still can't quite figure out what it is in this powder that's giving that super wet, strange sensation. I can't figure it out from looking at the ingredient panel. So far so good. I do like it. It comes with a sort of mesh sifter and then a plastic cap to keep everything in, and it does say keep me closed to keep me cool. So I do get the sense that if you leave this open and air gets exposed to this powder over time, that cooling sensation may go away. And I think when I was talking about in my Will I Buy It last month, I was talking about how I had this powder on my radar, and a couple of you guys commented you were curious to see how I felt about it after several months of use, which leads me to believe that something in this powder may change after, you know, 3 or 4 months of use. So far so good. I do like it. It is the powder I have on today underneath my eyes and a little bit on the tops of my cheeks to kind of blur out some of my pores. So yeah, nothing bad to say about it. I think it's super fascinating. I put this on my stepdaughter and she was just like, what in the world? I'm like, I know, it's so weird. So yeah, don't think I would have paid $40 for it, but 20 bucks seemed like something worth trying. On 9/8, I popped into Ulta to buy 2 sort of staples in my beauty routine. One was a Living Proof dry shampoo. I love this. I think this is the only dry shampoo that really cleans my hair. I rambled on ad infinitum in my last empties about the dry shampoos and the types of dry shampoos I like. So if you're curious about my take on dry shampoos and a more affordable version as well as this one, I will link that video down below. But I picked this up at Ulta for $25.80 after taxes. So I grabbed that. And then the other thing I picked up that day was my Triple Remedy AM Gel Cream from First Aid Beauty. This cost me $38.70, so this is not super cheap. You get a ½ ounce of product in here. I use this in the morning, and then I will also use this as my primary moisturizer while traveling because my current PM treatment that I'm almost through doesn't travel well. It's in a kind of a jumbo-y kind of container, so it's very difficult to travel with, and so I've just chosen over the years to just take this to use while traveling AM and PM. I definitely feel like I like something a little richer and heavier at nighttime, but this one works really well to moisturize as well as lay really well under concealer and different forms of makeup. This is one though, because it is in a solid container and it has a pump at the top, I really have a hard time telling when I'm going to be out of this. So part of what made me run to Ulta that day was I went to go pump some of this out, and I was gone, and then nothing came out, and I went from thinking I had some in here to being like, oh crap, I'm out. So ran into Ulta and grabbed that on 9/8. So on 9/8, after I went to Ulta, I also went over to my Walmart because I've been super curious about the Physicians Formula Organics Wear line expansion that they've done. I talked about this last month in my Will I Buy It series and said this was probably the collection of products that had me the most intrigued out of all the new releases that had come out. And so I realized that my Walmart had gotten these in stock, and so I popped in to get them. I will say they are significantly cheaper at a Walmart than they are on the Physicians Formula website. Significantly cheaper at Walmart than if you purchase off the Physicians Formula website. Bear that in mind. I know this is also a Walmart exclusive, so eventually I imagine that other places that carry Physicians Formula will get this line, but for the time being, Physicians Formula has said this is a Walmart exclusive, so I don't expect this to be in other places besides Walmart until probably sometime later this year, maybe beginning of next year. So let's go through what I purchased. So I picked up their Physicians Formula Dewy highlighter. This has jojoba oil in it. They have 2 shades in it. I got the shade, shoot, it doesn't have the name on here. I will have to put it up here on the screen because I know it had a name. This is really pretty. This is a highlighter that is a little dewier and a little more creamy than the Almay one that's part of my Project Pan. Even though it has jojoba oil in it, I don't feel like it's super greasy. I do feel like this one, it might not set down to a powder finish, but it's definitely gonna set down more than some of the other glowy sort of stick or cream products in my collection. I do think this is more on the subtle side. I think it's pretty and it looks very glossy and natural on the skin, but it's not like one of those like Bubble-Am style highlighters. So bear that in mind. I do think that if you like your skin to just look naturally dewy and not look like you're wearing highlighter, just look like your skin is glowy and glossy, you may really enjoy this one. I certainly am enjoying it quite a bit. The other one that I picked up is their Sculpting Bronzer. This comes in 2 shades. I got the lighter shade and then came home, tried it on, and it was like orange. And it's interesting. I've watched other people who have more neutral leaning undertones talk about how they really liked that lighter shade. So I actually went back and got the darker shade because I thought it looked more neutral and even I thought slightly cool toned. Listen, it's definitely more cool toned than the one I had, but it is also very, very deep for someone of my skin tone. So I've had a really hard time shearing this out. I do think the color isn't bad once I shear it out, but I've really struggled to apply this in such a way that I can shear it out enough to make it worth my time. So unfortunately, I don't think that this product is gonna be a favorite of mine. In fact, I may pass this particular product on to a friend that has a deeper skin tone just to see what she thinks of it, because I do think the formula is really nice. I just feel like the undertone of the lighter one is too orange on me, and then the undertone of this is really light. It's really nice rather, but it's just too dark on me. So yes, so that is the two stick products there. The other thing that I picked up was the foundation Elixir. This is the Silk Foundation Elixir with jojoba oil as well. I ended up getting the shade 02 Fair to Light. The shade Fair 01 was way too light on me. It was almost whitish looking on my skin. I actually bought that one first and was trying to make it work, and it looked like I had a mask on. So I ended up exchanging it for the next darker shade. I really like this. So even though it has jojoba oil in it, I find that it is not greasy feeling on my skin. It gives a very, I would say it gives medium, light medium to medium coverage. I don't think it's going to take you much past that. It cancels out most of the redness, smooths out my skin, but just looks really radiant and natural. I will say I think this is probably more of a light medium. Now that I'm swatching it and thinking about it, it is more of a light medium foundation, and it's probably one that you could sheer out to even be a sheer tint if you want. But I like that style. I really do. I like it when my skin looks like skin, not like you're wearing foundation, and that's what this one gives to me. Giving a little bit away because I've been testing a whole bunch of foundations, especially more glowy ones. And of all the ones I've tried, high-end and drugstore, I think this is my number one. In fact, I know it's my number one. The other product from them that I have been loving is their Dewy Blush Elixir. I picked up the shade Gorgeous Peach. This is a serum-like blush. It is almost a dead ringer, I think, for the Cosmetics new Dewy drops that she launched. It's serum-like. It has a very light texture. It blends in incredibly easy on the skin. I love this shade. It's nice and neutral with sort of a peachy nude undertone. It makes my skin look healthy and moisturized. This is not a cream to powder formula, so all the things I said last month as I was testing the Cosmetics serum blush drops, I would echo about this. This does not set down completely. If you want your cheek products to feel powdery smooth after you're done applying them, this is not going to do that for you. It's going to still feel dewy and slightly hydrating on your skin. I don't feel like it moves around. I don't feel like it fades on me. I feel like it stays on really, really well. But if you want that sort of powder finish on your cheeks, you don't like feeling any sort of tack or moisturized feel on your skin, you like to feel like it's powder, you will want to set this with a light translucent powder. So if you were curious about the Cosmetics one, weren't prepared to make that leap to that higher price point, I would definitely pick this guy up. Now it's interesting, I watched Emily Noel talk about this blush before, and she said she didn't think it was as pigmented as the Cosmetics ones. I can see why she said that, and so I think she liked the Cosmetics ones better because these, she felt like she had to build up quite a bit to get the color she wants. And I think, just wanted to give a sort of counterpoint to that because I know a lot of you guys follow her channel as well. One, I feel like a lot of the shades they've picked are more neutral shades. So they're ones that are meant to kind of blend into your skin and not be those really intense sort of corals and pinks and berries the way that the Cosmetics were. I do agree with Emily in the sense that you probably don't want to build this up over and over and over again because it is serum-like. I do think if you built this up a ton, it could end up looking oily on your skin. But for me, I'm also not looking for really intense blush application. One of the things that Emily Noel loves, and I love this about her, and we all have different makeup preferences, that girl loves herself some blush. She puts on probably twice as much blush as I ever do. She feels just not quite like, she doesn't like the look on her skin unless she's got a very strong, bold, blushed cheek. I think it looks beautiful on her. That is not my makeup preference. So if you are looking for a really strong, bold, hot pink, coral, plum, definitely see the blush on your cheek kind of look. I don't think any of these shades that they've released will probably call to you because these are more neutral. And in this formula, which is meant to be sheer and more serum-like and just blend into your skin, you're also not going to get that intense color payoff that I think Emily likes. So if your blush preferences are more like Emily's, I agree. I don't think the shade range in here is probably what you would like. You would like the M Cosmetics ones better, at least 3 of her 4 shades. If you are more like me and you like your cheeks to have a hint of color, but you're not looking for like a real intense pop of blush, I think you might really enjoy these. 2 other products I picked up, which were both lip products from Physicians Formula. So one is their Nourishing lipstick with butter blend. I picked up the shade Buttercup. It has sort of that squared off lipstick shape like the Charlotte Tilbury's do. I do think this is fairly reminiscent of the butter lip formula, and I was really curious about that when I saw the phrase butter blend. I was curious to see how much or how similar this formula would be to the butter lipstick we saw released this summer, whenever it came out. I think it was last summer. I think these are more pigmented than the butter lipsticks that came out. I also think that they're not quite as glossy and slippy as those. These definitely come off as a glossy lipstick, but they're definitely more of a creamy lipstick, and they have a lot more lasting power than the other lipsticks did as well. So I do think it is a different formula. They're both super comfortable on the lips. They both really give a lot of moisture and a lot of hydration. I just think this one has more pigmentation and a little less slip to it, so it stays in place a little bit better. And then the last thing I picked up was their tinted lip treatment. Also says with butter blend. This one has organic coconut oil, jojoba butter, shea butter, and vitamin E. This is the shade Tickled Pink. I also went for something a little more neutral, but more in a pink tone for this. This is nice. I mean, it's a really pretty tinted balm. I would say this balm reminds me a lot of the Fresh tinted lip balms. So if you like the Fresh lip balms, you might really like these as well. It's definitely hydrating. It's definitely more sheer. It definitely feels like it has more oils in it than the lipstick we just talked about. I found this to be incredibly comfortable to wear. It's a really nice, more pinky shade. So there is the lipstick, and then there is this sort of sheer balm there. I like this. I will see myself reaching for this a lot. I think that they've really duped the Fresh balms, and Fresh is another brand that I kind of assumed was cruelty-free just based on its whole aesthetic and the kinds of products it launched. So it was one of those brands where I went, oh, that's not cruelty-free. Oh, interesting. So I'm happy to have something that kind of fits that category, because I do like those tinted balms from Fresh quite a bit, and I feel like this is a solid dupe for that. And then on 9/9, I met up with a friend. We had lunch and a bottle of wine, and then we went over to the Charlotte Tilbury counter that's recently opened up in our Nordstrom. I'm super happy we have one now so that I can see things in real life. Makes it a heck of a lot easier for me. So I picked up 3 products from the Charlotte Tilbury counter on 9/9. The first was her Flawless Foundation. This was $47.30. I got the shade Too Cool. I was super excited to try this one because I've gotten along with Charlotte Tilbury foundations really well. The Airbrush Flawless has gotten very mixed reviews online, and so here's the thing. I have spent some time with this, and you would think, given I bought this on 9/9, that I would have a fully formed opinion on it. Because I have kind of an in-out rule on foundation testing, and I bought so many foundations last month, I was still testing the foundations from last month well into the beginning of this month. And then once I felt like I had a handle on those, I went straight into this Physicians Formula one next, even though I had already purchased this one at this point. Gave myself a solid 2 weeks with this one. And so now we're kind of getting to the end of the month, and I'm just now sort of forming opinions on this foundation. So here's what I can tell you, and I do intend to wear this more and report back to you guys. I need to do sort of a foundation roundup at some point in the month of October and kind of give you all my thoughts on the zillions of foundations I feel like I've tried, and kind of, I think I'm going to rank them. Samantha March does that, and I really like that. I think it's a good way to do foundation reviews, as well as kind of tell you where my preferences lie. But here's what I can say about this one. As with all Charlotte Tilbury products, it's beautiful. It's this gorgeous oval packaging. You've got this very luxe glass frosted bottle and this beautiful rose gold cap. It is a plastic cap, but it feels very nice and luxurious. It does come with a pump. This is a very full coverage foundation, and I knew that going in. I did, and I'd also heard that it could be very mattifying, that it was not playing well on dry skin. I am not somebody who doesn't watch any foundation reviews because I'm going to do a foundation review, and hopefully it doesn't influence me too much. I don't feel like it does, but I want to know before I come and talk to you guys how people with other types of skin are handling this. So I follow people with dry skin, I follow people with really oily skin, I follow people with normal skin, and so I like to hear how different skin types and skin textures are handling foundations, because I think that it gives me some context for, okay, this foundation got a little cakey on dry spots. Okay, now let's hear what somebody has with dry skin. Was it even worse for them? Yes or no? Things like that. Anyway, so I have been watching reviews on this foundation, and it has been a very mixed bag. A couple interesting things about this foundation is it does come with 2% of a new peptide that's come out onto the market. And so there is a fairly significant amount of skincare benefit inside of this, which is why I think we've seen so many of the models she's used be like, I think Joan Crawford and some other women who are in their like 50s and 60s plus have been part of her ad campaign. And I think that's because she's included this peptide in here at a 2% level. Couple things. One, this one does darken, so I don't think it oxidizes. It doesn't go from being one tone to another, but it does, in that same sort of shade family, get darker. In fact, I've been waiting for this swatch on my arm to dry so I can show you it. All right, so there you go. So here it is dry at the top of my wrist, and then here's what it looks like wet when you first squeeze it out. So I don't feel like the undertone has changed dramatically. I feel like it's still that same sort of neutral shade. I don't feel like it's super cool toned or pink, even though this is a cool shade. It's just, I would say, at least 2 shades darker once it dries. So bear that in mind. It happens with a lot of water-based formulas. Water-based paints do the same thing. Water-based foundations do the same thing. It's one of the reasons that HD foundations typically don't have any water in them at all. They're using different kinds of silicones and dimethicone types ingredients as its carrier as opposed to water, because water can cause foundations to darken as they dry. It is what it is. Some foundations do it worse than others. I will say this one it's pretty dramatic, I have to be honest. And so it is that moment where it's like you're putting it on your skin and it looks like it's going to be one shade and it might look too light for you. In fact, it should look too light as you apply it. But after about a minute, it'll dry down and it will be the color that it should be, or its final color. I haven't noticed it continuing to darken throughout the day. It's like once it dries down, it's done its thing, and you're at that color. It is incredibly full coverage, which is not my favorite. So what I've been experimenting with is something to kind of sheer it out. And so for me, honestly, one solid pump of this is more than enough for my entire face. Now, this is the foundation that I'm wearing today, and I've been sitting here telling you I don't need to set it, and it's more matte, and I do feel like my skin looks pretty darn glowy. So a couple things are coming into play right now. One, I am using glowy primers with this one because I don't like a very matte look, and I think naturally on its own it is more of a natural finish, slightly matte leaning foundation. So for me, as I've learned that and I know my preferences are for more glowy skin, I am using glowy primers underneath, and those glowy primers, because I'm using a very thin layer, and we'll get to that in a second, are peeking through, and so I am getting some glow. The other thing that I would say about this one, because it is so full coverage, like I said, I'm using one pump of it. I'm literally taking a little bit of it and then smearing it on my face and using a beauty blender to further sheer it out. And then I'm getting, I would say, solid high medium coverage. And I'm okay with that. Like, there are times in my life where my skin isn't as great, or I want a little bit more coverage. I appreciate with this one, I can get high medium coverage. Now, I do like how this sits on my skin. However, I do feel like if my skin is at all dealing with dry or crusty parts on my chin or forehead, it really does emphasize those. And so I do have to use like a facial oil in combination with this to kind of give a little bit more life and break down a little bit of that mattifying effect. So There's a place for this in my collection. This is not going to be my go-to foundation. I can tell you that now. And I do want to show you guys, do a video with all these foundations, showing me applying them, showing you close up sort of some of the things I'm sharing with you guys now on. So you're getting a little bit of a prequel for this foundation. But it's not my end all be all, but it's also one of the better full coverage, slightly mattifying foundations that are in my collection. And so in that respect, I do appreciate that I don't feel like this just looks super dry on my skin, but it also doesn't handle dry patches well either. So I should throw that out. And I think that's partly why in the Charlotte Tilbury sort of promotion for this foundation, they were recommending a heavy layer of her Magic Cream, which is a very thick, heavy sounds like it's bad, but like a very thick, luxurious, more heavily moisturizing sort of primary product. Part of me wonders if I use a very thick, creamy product primer like that. I have not tried that. I may try my Rimmel one with this now that I'm saying that, but I wonder if I use a very thick, luxurious, creamy, moisturizing primer, how this would go on my skin. So I've been using this now for probably about a week. I need to play around with this some more. Like I said, like right now, I don't hate how my skin looks. I mean, my skin looks how I want my skin to look. I have a little bit more coverage in certain areas than I normally do. I will admit I was sitting with my hand kind of like this earlier, so I do feel like it has worn off a little bit on my chin, but that's more about me just living my life, and it's, 7 o'clock my time, so I've had this on for I put this on at 9 o'clock this morning, so I've had this on for 10 hours as I'm sitting here filming. So all in all, I think it's holding up pretty well considering I'm at that 10-hour mark right now. I've spent more time talking about this foundation than I intended. Apologies, let's move on. The other thing I picked up that I've wanted for a while was her contour wand. So this was her fair to medium one. It's in that same packaging as her highlighter. Everybody talks about how lovely this is, at least so many channels that I follow. And then a couple of my friends have it and they freaking love it. I love the undertone of this. I know it's supposed to be a contour color, but given my coloring, sometimes the colors they call contour actually work out as like beautiful bronzer type colors. This blends into the skin like a dream. Like it's this sheer wash of like really liquidy bronzer that just honestly. So what I do is I take this little applicator and you can toggle it on or off. I squeeze a little bit up and I kind of do like 3 dots on either side of my face. I've been using a little brush to kind of blend it out, but I've also used my finger or a beauty blender. It really blends into the skin beautifully. I mean, beautifully. I totally get the hype on this one. I don't feel like I have anything else in my collection that is like this, and I can definitely see myself using this, traveling with this, etc. quite a bit. So happy to have this one finally in my collection, considering how long I've been kind of lusting about it, thinking about it. The last thing I picked up at the Charlotte Tilbury counter, and I was playing around with a lot of different products and just looking at different things that I don't own. I ultimately decided to get a lipstick. I do really like her lipstick formulas. I like the creamy ones, which is her Kissing formula. I also like her Matte Revolution formula. And I ended up picking up another Matte Revolution one, and I ended up picking up the shade Birkin Brown. And it's funny, I saw Hannah Louise post and talk about this shade in particular and talk about how much she wanted it, and it's a perfect brown shade, and she is very fair like me, but she also has very warm undertones, very yellow undertones, so she looks phenomenal in those like yellowy, orangey browns in a way that I just look like death warmed over. So I kind of assumed that this would not be a shade for me. So I was trying on different lipsticks, and the nice thing about these counters is that they have people there and they will sanitize a lipstick and then get you like a lipstick brush. And because it's a more controlled environment, there's some products like lip products that I will try on at a counter. Anyway, all that to say, I ended up sanitizing Birkin Brown at the counter and then picking it up with my finger and kind of blending it on my lips, and I loved this color. So I'd always assumed it was going to be this really murky, dark brown with a really strong yellow undertone. And in reality, it has got a really plummy, purpley undertone to it. So that immediately puts it into the categories of browns that I can wear. This does not look yellow on me at all. It has a reddish, maybe that's the way to say it, a reddish plum brown undertone to it. And built up like this, it is super dark. But if you pick a little bit up with your finger and kind of blend it out onto your lips, what I found was that this color is like exactly the color of my lips, just a couple of shades darker. So when I talk about like your lips but better color, like that is it. That is my lip color, just a hint darker. And so I've been using this as a stain so much since I got this color. I have been picking it up and blotting it on my lips, or even pulling it right out of the bullet on my lips and then blending it out with my finger. And I love the shade of this. So it doesn't have to be this intimidating sort of vampy color. It can be really soft and pretty. Well, I actually have a lot on my lips right now. I put on Bitch Perfect, and then in my last video that I filmed, I put a little bit of the Bite French Press Dirty Chai lip gloss on. And then before this video, because I kind of wanted to show the versatility of this lip gloss, I actually put over the top of that lip gloss some of this Birkin Brown shade. So I have this on over top of that lip gloss, and I love this color. Like, this color is so perfect. It really is my lips but better color, and as a result it ends up being like a color that I can wear if I've got cool tone eyes like I have now, or if I've gone very warm toned, because it's the natural color of my lips. So I've been really excited and happy to play with this lipstick. Like I said, I love her formula, I love her packaging. These little lipsticks just hold a really dear spot in my heart. I have a love relationship with these lipsticks. So yes, this was Birkin Brown that I picked up as the last thing at the Charlotte Tilbury counter. And then on 9/13, there was the last sort of Ulta 21 Days of Beauty thing that I had on my radar was to pick up a new Clarisonic brush head. I think I got the exfoliating one. I picked up a new brush head rather for $14.51. They were 50% off. These are frequently as part of the 21 Days of Beauty sale. So I often use those 21 Days of Beauty sales to just pick up a new one and replace out the one I have. I will admit I also clean those brush heads pretty regularly by tossing them into my dishwasher, where they are going to get hit with a ton of like hot temperatures and really like scald and sterilize them. So I do feel like I've made those brush heads last a little longer than they would otherwise, because I think they say because of bacteria buildup to get rid of them every few months. I make mine last a lot longer, but I'm also sterilizing them quite frequently. And then on 9/14, I picked up a palette at Target. This is the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. So this is part of their larger 18 pan palettes. This is what I was looking for in a green blue palette. A lot of the palettes that have come out that are green or blue, I feel like are very primary. And when I talk about greens that I love, I like these like yellowy greens that are a little more murky as opposed to these bright greens and limes and emeralds. Like, I like these murky tones, and I like blues that aren't cobalt, that have a little bit of gray to them and a little grunge to them. So like, this is the kind of grungy green and blue palette that really appealed to me. So I think a lot of you guys were asking me what I was wearing in a video recently where I had kind of an olivey shirt on and I had a green look on my eyes. It was this palette. It was the greens and sort of olives out of this palette, and I loved how that look came. Today I actually have this underwater shade on, and then I put a little bit of this very sort of, it's almost a glittery type shade. I mean, it's one I would definitely recommend you apply with your finger because it's slightly flaky, but I put some of that towards the inner part of my eye, and I didn't need a glitter glue. It went down just fine, but it added a little bit of sparkle. I will say I used a warm brown out of the new Nude Classics to kind of blend out kind of my crease and add a little bit of sort of warmth along the edge. I like to do that sometimes when I've got a very blue, especially blue eyeshadow on. But this shade Oasis is such a pretty periwinkle blue. Like, I don't know. I think that's such a nice color. So I really have been enjoying this palette. I've been playing with it this month quite a bit, doing some more neutral looks, going green, going very blue, and I think I'm going to continue to play with it because I feel like there's some really fun, especially in that green section. This is the color tone that I've been really craving for some of the fall looks I've been wanting to do lately. So yeah, I think the formulas on these are absolutely lovely, and I'm really impressed with this palette. So at this point, it was 9/14 in the month, and I pretty much spent the majority of my budget. I had less than $100 left, but I did pick up a few other products. So I did need a new micellar water. I was looking at trying, and I think I mentioned this in my Empties, I was looking at trying the Aaron's Faces Micellar Water. And I went on to purchase it, and I realized that you were only getting a teeny tiny bottle. You're only getting 4 ounces of micellar water, and the cost per ounce was just, it was really high. And I'm willing to spend up for certain types of products, but micellar water just isn't one of them. I want to find something that's effective, but it's not super expensive. And so I had went ahead and purchased this before I filmed my Empties video. And so I went ahead and just purchased this again. So this was the Neogen Real Cica Micellar Cleansing Water. Or is it Cica? I think it might be Cica. Real Cica Micellar Cleansing Water. I do like this one. It has a little bit of a lemony scent, but it's nothing too crazy. It looks empty because I've already dumped it into my old Bioderma bottle that has like the pump that you can just like press down on. If I could find a cute bottle, like my dream would be to have a really cute, beautiful vintage looking glass bottle with one of those pumps on the top. I would love to do that and then just get rid of that Bioderma bottle. But I so enjoy that bottle style that I versus this like squeeze kind or dropper kind that I haven't gotten rid of my super ancient Bioderma bottle. I just once again run it through the dishwasher to sterilize it in between uses. So yes, I do like this one. Now you guys left me in that Empties video some really interesting suggestions for some products that I really hadn't considered. I think there was one from NYX you guys recommended that was really affordable that you liked. Somebody else recommended one from Tarte, which seemed like actually a decent price per ounce as well. I need to do some calculations. So there was a number of suggestions for cruelty-free micellar waters that were gentle and not heavily scented and didn't burn eyes, etc. down in that video. So once I get through this, I may venture out and try a few others. I do like Neogen as a brand though. It's a Korean beauty brand that is cruelty free and I like a lot of their products. So I trust them as a brand, which is why I felt comfortable going back to this one. But I may venture out and try another micellar water from a different brand. The other thing that I ordered from Soka Glam that same day was a toner. This is my Klairs unscented facial toner. I got this for $23.65. It comes with little over 6 fluid ounces, 180 mils. This is their moisturizing supple preparation unscented toner. Klairs is another Korean beauty brand that is cruelty free, does not sell in China. This is lovely. This is the one that I am almost out of. So you can see I've just got a teeny tiny bit left down in the bottom of that bottle, and then I will move to the new one. This one it's a little more viscous. So it's not, most toners are very runny and watery like a water. This one has a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not density, viscosity. That's the word I'm looking for. Viscosity to it. It's a little thicker. And when I say thick, you think of thicker creams, but it's just when you put it in your hand, so I shake a little bit in my hands, it feels a little bit more moisturizing and it feels a little bit more heavy. I don't know how else to describe it than a water would. It is totally unscented. It is the first step of my routine every day. I love this. Like, this is definitely my favorite toner. I found this toner after going cruelty free because I was using one from Banilico, which is another Korean brand, which turned out to not to be cruelty free. And I was using a toner of theirs for years and years and years. And so I made the switch to try this one after I went cruelty free. And I'm really glad that I did because I love this so much more than any toner I've ever had. So this is a phenomenal product. And I think the price point is really reasonable. So for 6 ounces, less than $25. Spot on. So that really takes me through everything I bought for this month. There is one final item that I'm counting on this list. As I'm filming it is the 30th. And as of today, I ran out of shampoo. And so tomorrow I intend to go to it's not the salon I go to, it's the salon I used to go to here in Columbus, Kenneth's. They still make my favorite shampoo. So it's their pure moisturizing shampoo. And I'm going to get a giant bottle of it because I just keep a huge bottle with a pump at the bottom of my shower. So I will tomorrow spend $41.39 to pick up 32 ounces of shampoo for my shower. I'm good on conditioner for right now, but shampoo I've definitely run out of completely. So I am going to count that in this month's budget and go pick that up tomorrow. I really love that one. I think it's absolutely phenomenal and it smells like lightly scented like creamsicle. Like it's not super strong, but it has a really nice vanilla orange scent to it that I never seem to get sick of. I really like it. I also don't feel like it strips my hair, which is the other reason I like it quite a bit. So that's everything I purchased for the month of September, and a little bit more rambly than I usually am. I try and make these less about reviews and more about just reporting out on what I bought, but I feel like I just went full on review with you guys here, and I think the count in terms of how long I've been filming is going to be a little more than I want it to be. But let's go ahead and total everything up. So in terms of makeup basics, so things that I would consider to be like very like brow products, or needing a new eyelash curler or some brushes or a brow pomade, things like that, I didn't really have any purchases this month, so that's a big fat 0. In terms of drugstore makeup, I spent $74.82. And then in terms of high-end makeup, I was at $145.66. For skincare, I was at $126.51. It's a little higher than normal. I kind of in my head think about $100 a month is what I need to plan for skincare. So that's a little high, but kind of right on target. For hair care, there's actually more this month because I needed to go buy my shampoo, and then I also bought dry shampoo. So hair care this month was $67.19. And then for body care, because I bought some of the moisturizer that I use quite frequently, was $28.38. So that meant I spent $442.56 this month. That's only giving me $20.82 to roll over to next month. So I really did use up the bulk of my budget, which was $463.38. So that's what I had to spend this month. So I pretty much spent all of it. Here's that little pie chart that I really find super fascinating. You guys seem to enjoy it as well. So here is kind of how things broke down. Makeup high end was 33%, and then skincare at 29%. Then we were into drugstore makeup at 17%, hair care at 15%, body care at 6%. So that's kind of how my little pie chart broke out this month. In terms of my budget for October, I want to kind of give you a kind of the lay of the land for the month of October in terms of my budget. In terms of what I'm thinking of purchasing, what my needs are, what I'm kind of thinking about, things I'm not interested in. I will be doing my needs, nopes, and wants video here very shortly. I think that will be my next video out. I've not filmed that yet, but we'll go through how I thinking about spending my money for this month. But for the month of October, I'm putting my normal $300 out of my own, personal budget with my husband into this. And then my AdSense and Magic Links money is a little high this month. And that is because last month for AdSense, so the money I make on YouTube, I just missed the minimum $100 payout. So they will only pay out once you've hit a $100 threshold. So you have to hit $100 within a particular month, and then they will pay it out to you the 20th of the following month. So I'm making this up. So if you made $95 in the month of June, you wouldn't have hit that $100 threshold. So then you will wait the month of July, and you will probably go over at that point for the month of July, at which point they will then pay you really your June stuff in August, if that makes sense. So on around August 20th. So if you don't hit that $100 threshold every month, you may end up waiting another month before you, a month and a half before you see that money coming into you. So that is what happened to me. Last month, I didn't have any AdSense money come in. And this month, I basically ended up with about 2 months worth of AdSense money coming in. So we ended up with $224.96 being added into my budget this month. I do have rollover money of $20.82 from last month. So that is going to bring my grand total up for the month of October to $545.78. That is what I have for the month of October. A little high. I need to kind of do some inventorying to see if there's like major skincare things that I need to purchase this month. But that is what we're sitting at right now in terms of budget for the month of October. So that is all I had to share this month with you guys in terms of my beauty budget. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. I hope you guys enjoyed kind of seeing this breakdown and all the products that I purchased. And like I said, stay tuned because up next will be my video talking about sort of my will I buy it for the month of October. Talk to you soon. Bye.